Happy Sunday to ya. Happy Sunday to ya. Happy Sunday. Welcome to another edition of Sundays with Sam. I am so glad to have you here with me this Sunday morning. And I would like for you to subscribe to my channel, like the channel, and invite your friends and family so they can come on over here on Sunday mornings and join us in this devotional. And we know that you're doing your own devotional Monday through Saturday, right? Right. Okay. But on Sundays, we just jump over here on YouTube so we can all do our devotional together to just start our week out. So we are coming from this book, Be Still and Talk with God Daily. And if you don't have your copy, you can go over to Amazon and get your copy. You'll have it for next week. Because what we do is each week we just go to the next day. It's a 30-day devotional. So each week we just take the next day and talk about that as our discussion topic for that week. Unless God gives me something else to talk about, which I've done a couple of times. But for the most part, we're coming from the devotional. So today we are looking at clutter and declutter. Yeah, I know about clutter. So I was talking to myself on this clutter part, mainly the physical part of clutter. But the scripture that we're looking at today is 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. It's the Amplified Version. But all things must be done appropriately and in an orderly manner. So that's what we're trying to get to. So when you look at clutter, it is to fill or cover with scattered or disordered things that impede movement or reduce effectiveness. That's one of our dictionary meanings of clutter. And when we look at declutter, is to remove mess or clutter from a place, to organize, prioritize, simplify, and get rid of disorder. So we know that clutter can be physical or mental. So when we look at clutter as it relates to the mind, mental clutter refers to times when our mind has too many thoughts, which makes it difficult to process and focus. It's just too much going on. And when the mind is cluttered, it disrupts and hinders productivity, balance, and even our mental health. And sometimes people can be a source of the clutter that's in your mind. So you got to be careful who you're around and who you listen to. And sometimes people are just so negative. Some people, I know some that every time you see them, it's something negative. They just the negative Nancy. Negative, negative, negative. They don't ever see anything positive. And if you keep hanging around people like that, then all that negativity is going to get in your mind too and clutter up the thoughts that's in your mind with all of their negativity. And then some people you can be around and it's like they just don't have no get up and go. They got up and go. It just got up and went. They just have no vision. They just don't want to do anything with their lives. Don't have any desire to do anything. And here you are, you've got your vision and goals and things that you want to do, but you keep hanging around with these people and they telling you, you can't do that. You don't even need to try to do that. And they just kind of downplay what you want to do in life because they don't want to do nothing in life. And then you keep listening to their thoughts and their pessimistic ways and their like humdrum life, and you can let it get in your mind and clutter up the thoughts, and you had all these things that you were thinking. But then, like I said, you got to be careful who you're around, who you listening to. Got to guard your ear gate because you don't want to listen to all this stuff and it just get it in your head. And sometimes, you'll be talking to people and they'll say something and you'll think, okay, well, who got into your head? Who you been listening to? Because that's not how you were talking before. So you've let somebody else get in there and just get into your mind and change what you were thinking. Now your mind is cluttered with somebody else's thoughts. So you got to think about that and make sure that you're not allowing that. And also, we can self-sabotage ourselves with our own thoughts. And when we look at the book, it tells us about how many of us are not moving forward because we're looking back. And, sometimes we make mistakes in life. Nobody's perfect. We are going to all make mistakes, but you can't let that hold you back. And sometimes you might just keep thinking about, well, I tried that last time. It didn't work. But try it again. Or maybe do it a different way this time. Don't let that hold you back. Don't have these self-defeating thoughts that you can't do it. Just take can't out of your vocabulary. Just get that on out your mind because you can do it. And we know that we can do all things through Christ. And I just thought about when my kids were little, and especially with my oldest son. I think it was more so before the other two were born. I would always tell him, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Anytime he tried to do something, I would just tell him, I can do all things through Christ. And one day he was trying to do something, I forget what it was, and he was like, and I can't do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I just fell out laughing because it was like he knew what I was getting ready to say. But you have to instill that in them. And we have to remember too, as adults, that we can do all things through Christ. Don't let self-defeating thoughts just take over and sabotage and clutter up your mind. So, and sometimes we feel guilty too about things that we've done in the past, and you may think, well, God can't use me because I've done XYZ, but don't let that cloud your thinking either, because God is a forgiving God. Even though we might not forgive ourselves, but God is a forgiving God, and we have to learn to love ourselves just as God loved us or continues to love us. So even though sometimes we fail, we know that we can keep going forward and don't look back. And sometimes too, we think about what other people think about us, and we let that clutter up our mind and clutter up our vision and how we see ourselves. But we just got to learn how to declutter and get all of that out of our head. And we put on ourselves self-imposed limitations at times. But if you are at Faith Chapel, we are in a series where we're talking about our limitless God. And that is an awesome series to just kind of remind us, instill in us that all things are possible with God. He is a limitless God. So when we realize that God is limitless, then we can take off those self-imposed limitations that we have on ourselves and walk in the authority of a limitless believer. So we just gotta think about how limitless God is, and we're his children, so we can walk in that authority, and we're limitless too as we believe in him. So it's time to declutter. So and we talk about decluttering the mind. We do need to declutter the environment too. We think about how our closets are all cluttered and you can't find stuff, and sometimes our desks are all cluttered. It's just an ongoing thing. That's something we got to work on. That's something I have to work on. So we just need to make sure that we have our environmental space as decluttered and organized as possible. Because y'all know, if you have your physical environment all cluttered, that can affect your mind too, and how you think about things and how you get things done, and whether or not you get things done appropriately. Because sometimes when you just have stuff all everywhere, your mind just can't even think right when you're looking at all the clutter. So I know that it does help me if my desk is organized, then it just helps me think better. because you don't have all this stuff all everywhere. So and the clutter can cause you to have your stress levels to go up because you just look at stuff and go like, oh, I just can't take it. It's just too much. So if you got things decent and in order, like our scripture told us, things need to be done appropriately and in an orderly manner. That kind of helps you get everything sorted out. And we can just, one other thing that can help us is to sit quietly with God and just silence the noise. It's just so much going on in life, and life is so loud. And sometimes we just need to just sit still with God, silence the noise, just put it over there, push it out of the way. And one thing too that we can do that can help us is to write things down. And I have this journal, Be Still Daily Prayer Journal. And you can just write things down sometimes, and that'll help you sort things out and get them in order. And, sometimes if you have a lot of things to do and you feel like you're kind of overwhelmed, you can make a list, write down the things that you have to do and prioritize them, say, okay, this is what I really need to do today. So I can write this down, check it off, and I've got that done. And it helps you feel a sense of accomplishment, and you're not feeling like all over the place because you do have a structure and you've written it down, and you know that you need to do this and then you need to do this, and it just helps you to be more organized. So we need to just do just the things, small things to kind of get ourselves in line and get decluttered so we can think clearly and think positively. So you need to just make sure that you're able to hear from God. You got your mind clear, you got your environment clear, and we're going to declutter today. All right? Okay. Let's repeat after me. I am one and only one. I can't do all things, but I can do some things. That I can do, I ought to do. And by the grace of God, I will do it. Go out and have yourself an amazingly awesome week. And I'll meet you back here next Sunday.